So on this first one, number 1, what's different there? We got this number in the front here that's a negative. Okay? So what do you think that's going to do to the graph?
Like you go down instead of up.
What do you think? Let's show on Desmos what it does. So there's y equals x. Okay, so there is y equals x and y equals negative x. What did it do? So the red graph is y equals x and negative x. What happens when we put the negative in the front? Toby? It flips, okay? So I need some more mathy words than that. Ooh, reflecting it over the x-axis. So taking the graph and moving the whole thing up, down, right, or left. So you can say either one of two things. Reflected over the x-axis or mirrored over the x-axis. Flipped is something that a lot of students want to say, but it's not descriptive enough. So just to give you an idea of what's going to happen. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph it. What happens is the vertex, like we were looking at it yesterday, whatever this is in the front, does not affect our vertex. So what do you think our vertex would be on this? People say negative 4, 1. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, negative 4, 1. So remember, you take the opposite of what's inside here. I'm waiting for people to be polite. The opposite of what's inside the absolute value is your x value, and then this number out here, the +1, is your y value. So we start with that, negative 4, 1, and then we have a different slope. I like, Jason, how you said we have a slope here that's going to be a negative 1 this time. So negative 1 is the same thing as negative 1 over what number? 1. So we go down 1, right 1. And so it's still going to be from that V shape, but it's going to be a V shape facing, instead of upward, it's going to be facing downward. So to get my other side of my V, I go down 1, right 1, and down 1, left 1. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so the next one, it has a 3 in the front. You think that 3 is going to affect the vertex?
No.
It's not going to affect the vertex again. So what will our vertex be? Good, negative 1, 0. And then what is our slope? This number that's in the front is 3, which is 3 over 1, right? So we're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and right 1, and then?
No, left 1, up 3.
So up 3, left 1. 1, 2, 3, left 1. Why do we have to have two sides there? What about this equation?
Absolute value.
The absolute value is what tells us that it gives us that V shape. Okay. So now on number 3. What's your vertex on number 3?
5, negative 3. I think that's actually right. 5, negative 3. It's 5, negative 3.
I like the 5.
I can do that.
5, -3. So this here is the 5, and then the -3. Does that make sense? Okay. So 5, -3. So 5, -3, and then what's our slope?
Oh, I think that's
-1/2. So we know because of the negative, it's not going to face up, it's going to face down. So this 5, -3 is going to go, this could be the same thing as -1/2, right? So we're going to go down 1, right 2. We have to face it down, so we're going to put that negative on the top. And then where would my other point be? Down 1, left 2. And again, it's shaped like a V because somebody besides Derek. How do we know it's shaped like a V? What part of the equation tells us it's shaped like a V, Jason?
Absolute value.
The absolute value. That's right. So what about number 4? What's the vertex? -2, 3. And then what's our slope on this one? Yep, 2/1. So -2, 3. And then the slope is up to right 1, and then how do we get the other part of our V? Up to left 1. Okay, so the second part is going to be the description. So this might be a little bit harder.
about the same. About the same.
So the 2 times x minus 7. Let's start with the -7. What does that -7 do?
Right.
Right, 7. So what about the 2? That's the slope. So we need to describe what happens to the whole graph. And so what happens to the whole graph? Let's show it. I'm going to show it on Desmos. So we can see the moving right 7, but what else happens to the graph? It's skinnier, doesn't it? So we have to have a math way of saying that rather than skinnier or narrower, okay? And this is a little hard to understand, so watch me. So I put my foot on that vertex and I take the 2 sides. Yes, I'm going to stretch it. It's a vertical stretch. So I take the 2 sides and I vertically stretch them. So that's what makes it skinnier. Yeah, vertical stretch by a factor of 2.
Is it always going to be that?
No.
Does he make it bigger?
Does that make sense?
Oh, wow. Slope 2/1.
The slope is 2, but what that slope of 2 means it vertically stretches it by a factor of 2. So we have to say it that way.
This is saying via S.
So listen to what Daya was just asking. She asked if it was a -2. If it's a -2, there's 2 different things happening there. We have to describe both of them. And we're going to get to one of those on number 7. Good question. So what about number 6? So order is important here on this one.
Right.
Right, 6.
So let's take a look and see what happens. So two different things happen here, don't they? Can you tell that there's two different things? The original is the red, absolute value of x, and then the blue is the 3/5 x plus 6.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I had to make it smaller for you to be able to see what happened there.
You know what I mentioned?
So, what happened? What does that 3/5 do to the graph? Actually, it actually makes it, instead of vertically stretching it, it's going to take the sides and we call it vertically compress them. It makes it wider. So see how the glue is going to be wider there? It's now wider, and that's called a vertical compression. So I put my foot on the vertex, take the two sides, and I compress them. So that's the vertical compression. Okay? So what made this one compress and the last one a stretch? What do you think? But what? So this number was 3/5. This number is 2. Yeah, so when you have that slope there that's less than 1, ignoring whether it's a positive or a negative, that means it's going to vertically compress it. It's going to make it wider. Whereas this number is what?
Positive. Or like more than 1.
More than 1. Greater than 1, then it's going to vertically stretch it. Okay? So what does the plus 6 do?
It goes up.
Up 6. Okay? We have to put it in that order. The order is really important on number 6. We can't do the up 6 first. If we wrote the up 6 first, that would mean that this 3/5 would affect that, and the equation instead would look like this. So that 3/5 would affect the 6.
You can always do it that way when it's like multiplied by the.
Right. So it's that number on the outside. So this, whatever this is, has to be before this up or down. Let me say that again. This plus 6 here has to be last because we don't want this 3/5 to be affected. We don't want it to affect the 6. So we need to put that plus 6 last. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7. I'm going to erase that. Get it out of the way on number 7. And what do you think we do first on number 7?
Down 8. Down
Left
8.
8.
Down 8.
Left
wait.
8. Left
I
8.
mean left.
So
Or left.
if we put a number inside,
Left 1.
the order, if we put the number inside and then do everything that it says to do, you're going to be safe. So if I put a number inside here, first thing I do is add 1. So what does the plus 1 do to the graph? It moves it left 1. Now we have this -5, which does two things. Vertically stretches it. Why is it a stretch and not a compress? Good. Ignoring the negative.
Wait, it's vertically compressed.
Vertically stretched by a factor of 5.
Wait, it is. Wait, isn't it lower than 1?
Ignore the negative.
Oh. why
Because
does it-
ignoring the negative, that 5 is a number that's bigger than 1.
Wait, so do you write by factor of 5 or by factor of 10?
Factor of 5. Now we're going to talk about the negative. Yes, Jason? Okay. What does the negative do?
It makes it like
Oh, yeah, reflects.
it reflects it.
Good. Reflected over what?
Exactly.
X-axis. Good. I know. This is harder today. Reflected over the x-axis. So someone in the last period wrote reflected over x. Do you think that's going to be sufficient? Yeah, it's got to be x-axis. What's the last thing that's going to happen?
Down 8.
Down 8. Are you ready to do one on your own, or would you like me to do one more with you? Okay, let's do number 8. What happens on number 8? So, left 8 or right 8? Right 8. What does the negative in the front do?
It's reflected over x-axis.
That reflects it over the x-axis. Yes. What's that? No stretch on this one because it's this number is just like a -1. So if you want to say mirrored over the x-axis, you can say that also. So reflected over the x-axis. And then what does the -2 do? Down 2. The only thing that could be switched in the order on this one would be the reflection of the x-axis is down 2. Or excuse me, in the right 8.
It's happening.
Do you want me to show you why that would be?
No, it's, I guess that's
Right.
Oh, wait, I wrote that too. Because there's no number.
Talk about this. I want to talk about why that down 2 has to be last. Okay? If I did right 8 then down 2, I go, my first graph would start here. Then my right 8 and down 2 would look something like this. And then when I reflect it over the x-axis, it moves way up here. Sorry. Like this. And then when I reflect it over the x-axis, it goes like that. We don't want that. We want it to be right 8 and down, reflected over the x-axis and then down. So my graph is going to end up down here, facing down. Does that make sense? So right 8, reflected over the x-axis, face down, and then down. So my graph is going to look instead something like that. Okay, I want you to do number 10 on your own.
Vertical sketch by 2.
Number 10 has 4 different things that it does.
By 2, reflected over x-axis.
I'm laughing. When don't laugh, I laugh.
I wonder what Elijah listens to. Like, he listens to like emo music.
But how do you know no laughing? Oh, because
Oh my god, if you don't say listens to that, Elijah is scary. He just, I asked him, like, what's his name? Why is like so much hair? I mean, like I do that if I'm like listening to like sad stuff, but like he's just like sitting there, just like I don't do that.
Alright, what you guys get? I got left 3 down 8 vertically stretched by factor 2. Wait, hang on.
I put it over one. Why would you choose this? It's so disgusting. Like I don't get why they try.
Okay, can I get somebody to pass out the worksheet? You guys did great on that. So left 3.
What? I'm gonna have to do all that.
I want my grade back to go back up.
Oh, okay.
I do too.
I move your mouse.
You're back.
I move your
Are you like still gonna take
I was
my quiz
crying the
out?
whole time.
No, no, crying.
Oh, no. Like, I was crying.
Maybe after I
No, I'm actually
Okay, so one thing I just want to say about this. What happened to the recording?